Joe Piscopo is next on AM 970. The Answer.
Jersey Joe on the radio, 8 minutes after 6 o'clock. Jessica Rosenthal, kind enough to join us. She's the correspondent for Fox News Radio, live from Las Vegas. Jessica, you are so kind to call us this morning. I can't imagine what your day was like yesterday. Can you fill us in exactly where we are on this horrible tragedy, Jessica?
I think right now it sounds like where we are is still trying to figure out the motive here. I know we don't, I appreciate what you just said, that you don't really want to mention the person's name. So in honor of that, I won't either.
Oh, thank you.
This person that committed this crime, this 64-year-old man, it does sound like people are really confused. His neighbors who knew him over the years, his brother, the commentary from people who've run into him over the years, there's just no indication. And further, no real criminal record to speak of. The guy owned real estate, was a former accountant, loved to gamble. So I think police are going through as much evidence as they can find in two houses located in Nevada to try and find any indication of why. They say they found 19 guns in the hotel room, or 23 guns in the hotel room in the Mandalay Bay suite, and another 19 guns in his home. And I guess the sheriff also said they found ammonium nitrate in his vehicle.
I didn't even hear that. Jessica, how do you get that into the hotel? There's security all over. You could break these guns down so much before you're bringing in all those weapons,
A lot of people have actually talked about this, and I think it's really important to talk about because you've been to Vegas. We've all been to Vegas. A lot of people listening have been to Vegas.
Yep.
You roll up to your hotel. It's massive. There's tons of people around every hotel, especially if there's a casino in there. And I don't know about you, but forget Vegas. Go to any hotel in this country. You can take anything you want from your car into your hotel room. Yeah, if you get on an airplane, you have to get screened. But if you drive from your home to a hotel room, who's going to stop you? Who's going to stop you from bringing 4 large bags into your hotel room? No one. No one's going to stop you unless you do something really obvious that's very suspicious. So that's one thing. I think we need to be honest about how we work. How this country works, how we work as people.
Yeah.
There's no TSA screener at your hotel room. Second of all, I've heard some complaints from people, not you. So I don't want to come across as anything, but I've heard some complaints from people on social media about how he was able to go on this, shooting spree that lasted for what seemed like several minutes.
Yeah.
Where was even hotel security on this? So you have to remember, as I just said, we've all been to Vegas. How many rooms are in a hotel room in Vegas?
Yeah.
Hundreds?
Yeah.
I mean, how do you pinpoint the location of this one person? And once you do, you have to go floor by floor to get up there to make sure it's safe, because you can't. You're a group of police officers. You can't get in an elevator, press floor 32, and ding, you're there. That's not safe.
I know.
You have to clear. You have to clear as you go up. So it's a painstaking process.
You're right. And, Jessica Rosenthal with Joe Piscopo. Jessica's one of the great correspondents over at Fox News Radio, kind enough to join us this early in the morning. It's 11 minutes after 6 o'clock East Coast time. And, Jessica, your point is well taken. I thought the Las Vegas, all law enforcement, how they got to this creep so quickly. I thought they got to him quickly because they saw, I think, the smoke and the fire coming off. But let me just break down, if I may, Jessica, because I want to hear your trip going into Vegas. Last time we chatted, you were approaching the scene, and I want to hear that. But fact-wise, there are no ties with any militant terrorist groups with this guy.
It certainly doesn't sound like it. I mean, ISIS has claimed responsibility. That, according to Department of Homeland Security and FBI and other officials here, is not accurate. Or at the very least, haven't found anything they say at this stage that indicates that that's accurate. The Islamic State has made claims before, like, I don't know if you remember that casino shooting in Manila in the Philippines.
Yep.
I don't know if it was Manila. I'm not sure if it was Manila, but it was near Manila. It was in the Philippines. And they claimed responsibility for that. It couldn't have been further from a terrorist attack. It was completely not even related to that. So we have to take. I can't believe I'm saying this, but we have to take ISIS with some skepticism here.
Yeah, you're right, though.
Yeah, so we have to wait for FBI and Homeland Security to say, listen, and Las Vegas police to say, listen, this is what we found.
It's still true. Did your brother, and I don't want to keep you too long. I know how you're being pulled every which way out there, Jessica, but the brother, it looked so, the guy came out, it was just something curious about this whole thing. I cannot put my finger on it.
Yeah.
But the brother was like, so, well, we don't know. I don't know that do we believe this guy? I mean, I'm leaning on your journalistic instincts, Jessica, you know?
He said you could throw an asteroid at me and it would feel the same. Like, this is bizarre. He knew his brother. He's like, his brother didn't care about politics, religion. All he cared about was a royal flush.
Yeah,
I mean,
big gambler. Yeah, and was it true that the father of this cockroach, forgive me, was once on the FBI's 10 most wanted list?
It's true. And back in the early 70s,
Wow.
he was a bank robber, and
wow.
And he ended up on the FBI's most wanted list, I think, for nearly a decade.
Yeah. Well, and we are for sure the gunman took his own life. That we're positive about that fact.
The Las Vegas police. I mean, you're never positive, right? I mean, because we don't know, we weren't there, so I'm always skeptical. But the law enforcement guys that responded said, look, when we finally did get into that room, when we blew off the door, the guy was dead. So I mean, that's all we. Yeah. They opened fire. SWAT. Yeah. My understanding is SWAT did use their weapons, but the sheriff said there was no return fire. This guy didn't fire back.
Jessica, so tell us your day before we let you go, and thank you so much, Jessica Rosenthal with Piscopo on the radio, 14 after 6. So you were going into the scene as we chatted. You were kind enough to call us early yesterday when this first broke. So you get to Vegas. Could you quickly just give us a breakdown of what your day was like?
Well, getting into the area was difficult, as you can imagine, because they've got a scene with multiple dead bodies. So getting close to that after police had secured the scene was very difficult. We ended up at University Medical Center, where most of the critically injured victims had been taken, because UMC has the only level 1 trauma center in Las Vegas. At some point, I ended up interviewing a retired law enforcement official who sort of weighed in on the lack of security at hotels, expressing your concern really from earlier in our conversation.
Yep.
And then UMC brought out several trauma surgeons who talked about saving lives and the carnage, and having 8 or 9 ORs, operating all at the same time, just one after the other victim. At one point, I ended up going to a different hospital and speaking with a man whose wife was shot in the face.
Good God.
And he told me how he found out that she'd been shot and how he located her and how she couldn't speak before she had surgery, but tapped into his hand, I love you. And then spoke to a comedian who told me that he's now the resident comic at the Stratosphere, and he told me that he'd gotten a bunch of calls from other entertainers and show business folks here in Vegas who put on shows, producers, who all agreed that the show was going to go on, and they were all going to hold their shows last night.
Amazing. Jessica, we so appreciate you joining us. Keep us posted if you'd be so kind to do that, but we appreciate you jumping on the air with us, and let's talk soon. And, it's a terrible situation out there, so we're wishing you all the very best.
If it's happening in New York, New Jersey, or Long Island, hear about it with Joe Piscopo. Mornings, 6 to 10 on AM 970. The Answer.